Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Friday, the final day of Serve Week, and I gotta congratulate you guys. You guys have done awesome this week. Thank you to everyone who shared pictures of you doing the daily serve challenges. Really appreciate that. If you still have pictures that you haven't sent in, we would love to see them, and we would love to share them. So go ahead and take a few minutes and send us those pictures. It is Friday. It's the last day of the week. We have had an amazing week together, learning a little bit about what it looks like for us to serve. Our big challenge for today is to actually go and serve with us, C3 students, today at the garden. And so we want to make sure that you have some time to get out there. So we're going to keep this really short. But I want to share this last Devo with you because I think it's a great way for us to wrap up our week. And so today we're going to John chapter 13. So if you have a Bible nearby, grab your Bible. If not, I've got it here. I'll share it with you. But let me just give you some background to what's happening in these verses. Okay, so John chapter 13, we are almost at the end of Jesus' life. We're that week of crucifixion. It's the day before Jesus is arrested and put on the cross. So it's that Thursday night, and Jesus and the disciples have gathered together to celebrate the Passover meal. That's why they were in Jerusalem, to celebrate the Passover feast. And Jesus is going to do something that's really quite amazing for his followers. So let me just jump into this and start reading, and we'll break it down as we go. But just so you know where this is, we're in John chapter 13, beginning at verse 2. We're in Jerusalem. We're in the upper room, and we're celebrating the Passover meal. Let's get into scripture here this morning. John, the gospel writer, says, "The evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Now, Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal. He took off his outer clothing. He wrapped a towel around his waist, and after that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him." Now let me stop here. Now, you may have heard this before. If not, I want to make sure you understand what's happening here. So, back in Jesus' day, as they traveled mostly on dirt roads. And now on these dirt roads, everything else that traveled also traveled on these dirt roads. So think about, horses, camels, donkeys, maybe sheep, goats, whatever it was, along with people, whatever it was, they would all travel on this road. Now, if you've ever been to a farm and you've ever looked out into a pasture where they keep horses or cows, you have to be careful where you step. I have to imagine that walking down some of these roads, it might be similar to that, okay? So, the other thing about this is that when people traveled, they didn't have, super comfortable walking sneakers like we do. They didn't have hiking boots that are made to hike through the muck and the dirt and the junk that's on the roads. Most of them walked with some type of a sandal. Usually it was just a flat piece of leather with some string that would tie it to the foot so that it would stay in place. And I would have to imagine there were probably some people who walked around barefoot just because that, maybe they didn't have shoes. But when you would enter someone's house, there was a special job that took place where someone would come and they would wash the dirt and the muck off of your feet, because clearly you don't want that stuff in your house. Plus, as part of the cleansing traditions, people would wash their feet. Now, this act, this washing of feet, usually was the role for the lowliest of servants or the youngest of the kids. So, kind of think about, if you're maybe the youngest in your family, your job might have been to wash the feet of the people who come to visit you. Now just think about that. There's nothing good that comes from, the idea of washing someone's feet. totally grosses me out. I don't like people touching my feet. I don't like people washing my feet. I don't like touching other people's feet and washing their feet. This kind of grosses me out. But here's what we see happening here. Jesus, in the midst of the dinner, pauses, grabs a basin, fills it with water and a towel, and he does something that clearly hadn't been done. The feet of the disciples had not been washed when they came into the house. Now we can speculate why. Maybe they weren't washed. Maybe there was no servant. Maybe the apostles just kind of pushed it off on each other. No, I'm not going to do it. You do it. No, I'm not doing it. You do it. We don't know. That's not here in the verses. What we do know is, for some reason, their feet have not been washed. But Jesus takes the basin, takes the water, takes the towel, and takes the time, and he washes their feet. Now, you all know the disciples. You know Peter. Peter's one who opens mouth, inserts foot. He speaks. He says, Jesus came to Peter, who said to him, Lord, are you going to wash my feet? Like, you're Jesus. Like, you're the master. You're the teacher. We're following you, and you're going to wash my feet? Well, Jesus replied, you do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will. Okay, puzzling question, comment, okay. Peter says, no, you shall never wash my feet. Again, you're Jesus, master, king, prophet, teacher. Like, you should not be doing this for me. Well, Jesus answered, he says, unless I wash you, you have no part with me. Then Lord, Simon Peter replied, not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well. Again, Peter, open mouth, insert foot. In other words, hey, Jesus, if being clean is important and I need to be clean to follow you, then don't just wash my feet. Wash all of me. Give me a full bath. That's what Peter says. But Jesus answered, those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean. And you are clean, though not everyone. Now, that goes into some other stuff there. But here's what I want to get back to. Skip down a little bit here at verse 12. When he had finished washing his feet, he put on his clothes, and he returned to his place. In other words, he went back to his spot at the table. Jesus said to them, you do not understand, or he says this, do you understand what I have done for you? You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set for you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed to do them. Now, we've talked all week long about what it looks like for us to serve. Right here we see an incredible picture of Jesus' love and commitment to his followers. That he would get on his hands and knees and he would wash the stinky, dirty, smelly feet of his disciples. In the midst of even the argument with Peter, well, Jesus, you can't wash. Like, you should not be doing this. And then he goes to, wash all of me. Jesus makes the claim that you recognize who I am, and that's good, and it's true. I am your teacher. I am your I am your leader, Jesus. But look what I am doing. Even though I hold this position, even though this is who I am still not above serving you. And Jesus takes the opportunity to teach his disciples to serve. And then he goes on and says, okay, what I've just done for you, you now need to do for everyone else. As you become the leaders in the church, talking to the disciples here, as you become leaders in the church, your goal is not to lord it over them, but you're to serve them. Even for us today, one of the biggest challenges it is for us as pastors is, our role isn't to run the church. Our role is to serve the church. And that's what we attempt to do, to serve you all who are a part of our flock. You are the ones that we care about. You are the ones that we love. And you are the ones that we want and desire to serve. Now, we do that because that's what Jesus' example was. But there's a reason why we do this. Because Jesus, like I said, the setup for this is he's about to go to the cross. And so in his final moments with his disciples before going to the cross, he's putting out this important message that your role is to serve. And then he goes on a little further down. We're going to pick it up at verse 31, and here's our point for today. He says in verse 31, "Now the Son of Man is glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will glorify the Son in himself, and will glorify him at once." Here we go. Verse 33. "My children, I will be with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and just as I told the Jews, so I tell you now, where I am going, you cannot come. A new commandment I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so must you love one another." Now, I want to share those verses because I think they connect back with what Jesus just did for the disciples in the upper room. He demonstrated to them through the washing of the feet how much he truly loved them. And he set for them the example by saying, if you truly love the people around you, then you will serve them. And I want to wrap up our week this week with that idea, that we are called to not only just love God with our heart, all our mind, all our strength, all our soul, but we are called to love our neighbors as ourselves. Yesterday, we said that serving is not something that's beneath us, but a privilege that we should take advantage of. Well, today I want to add to that we're called to a new commandment, to love one another. And in loving one another, we serve each other. Guys, I want to challenge you today to begin to rethink what it looks like for you to love someone else through serving them. I think if we can understand that and we begin to work on that, I think God's going to do amazing work in our lives and in the lives of the people that we are serving. Today, guys, our final challenge is this. We are heading over to the C3 Garden. Now, here's a great opportunity for us to get dirty in serving someone else, because that garden represents our love for the community, in that we take the things that we grow and we share them with different organizations in our community who then use those foods to feed the people around us. Today is our chance to get our hands in the dirt, to pull a few vegetables, to pull a few weeds, to care for our garden, and then hopefully take some food to the community organizations right here where we live, and that food be used to feed. And in doing this, we are demonstrating, we are showing the love of Jesus. We're taking that commandment and we are loving one another. So I hope, guys, you will join us here in the next few minutes, because it's almost time to get going. But I hope you would join us at the garden today, and that you would see this as an opportunity for us to live out that command and love one another. Guys, thank you so much for a great week of serving. I'll have one more video to cap it all off here tomorrow, so make sure you join us one more day. All right, I'll see you hopefully at the garden. Later for now.